D.C. crime bill. They've been fighting for it for a long period of time, and it's been a major mess politically, and crime is exponentially growing. They're now talking about legislation where they can make it illegal for you to wear a mask or a hoodie.
You see this packet here. This is part of the Secure D.C. Omnibus Amendment Act of 2024, introduced by Judiciary and Public Safety Committee Chair Councilmember Brooke Pinto. And it's meant to address what the mayor has called gaps in the ecosystem. Now, even today, we were hearing a lot of discussion about it, people asking about different measures, particularly on the masking measure, whether now wearing a hijab or a hood could now be criminalized. So we want to show you what the report actually says on that measure here. On the mask law, it says the committee print makes it unlawful for any person over the age of 16 to wear a mask or otherwise conceal a substantial portion of his or her face with the intent to commit a crime, intimidate, threaten, abuse, or harass another person, or cause another person to fear for his or her personal safety. The council report says this was a law in place in 1983, repealed in 2020 because of the pandemic.
Now, who created everybody wearing masks? Was it not the federal government that said you need to wear masks? I immediately thought when I heard that was, oh man, people are going to take advantage of that. Well, they're taking advantage of it in D.C. They're wearing masks, they're wearing hoodies, and they're just carjacking, and it's mostly teenagers.
And that it was apparently used sparingly. Other measures in the omnibus bill would increase gun penalties, change the pretrial presumption, allowing judges to hold juveniles more easily.
So it was hard to hold juveniles before in D.C.? Really? Really? It was hard to hold juveniles in D.C. Liberal policies. And it's getting out of control. I've gone over the numbers before with you, but I also wanted to cover this coverage of D.C.'s crime rate, and it's just a mess. It's a mess. Here we go.
I'm going to ask Chief Newsom to either get the National Guards, if they can't put out a special group of folks out here to saturate this area to get these guns. In the last 3 days, we done had shootings, and basically in the same vicinity.
You hear that second person there was an elected community leader speaking back in 2017 about the violence in Southeast D.C. and trying to get help to address it there. That year ended with 116 homicides. This past year, we know, ended with 274 murders in the district, the largest homicide rate the city has seen in over 2 decades. Now, guys, this has to be voted on the council twice before the mayor can sign it into law. And we are also hearing there may be protests on this today. Guys?
So healthy meals is one of the top priorities for D.C., for people in jail. So see how much D.C. cares? They're going to make sure that the meals are healthy in jail.
It would make it easy for police to clear areas where anyone is trying to sell or use drugs. There's changes to police oversight. There's also a measure to require meals at the D.C. jail be more nutritious.
Isn't that kind? This is a 68.3 mile area. That's how big D.C. is, the District of Columbia. President George Washington actually named it, by the way. And those 3 stars in the D.C. flag, that was from his father's family crest, George Washington. How cool is that? Little fun fact for you. Okay, let's continue. So protests are happening about the crime bill. So they're fighting the bill that's going to keep them safe. Does that make sense to you? I guess it does in D.C. And our favorite press secretary, notice that her eyes flutter when she's lying. I've said that before.
274 homicides here in the District of Columbia in 2023. That's the highest murder rate in more than 2 decades, since 1997. This is the president's home, at least a few days a week.
And I got to give props to the reporter. What did he say? When President Biden's in Washington, D.C., at least a few days a week. How classic is that? You can tell she gets pretty engaged right afterwards.
What can he do personally about reducing the level of crime that we're seeing here in the nation's capital?
So let me just be very clear. All violent crime, not just here, all violent crime anywhere is completely unacceptable. We just want to make that very clear here. Every community in this country should feel safe, want to be safe, and so that's important. But I will say this, congressional Republicans, they don't seem to feel that way. And I say this because the president has taken action. From the first piece of legislation that he signed into law, American Rescue Plan, only Democrats voted for that. Republicans didn't vote for that. There was billions of dollars in that plan to deal with crime, to make sure there were more law enforcement in communities, to make sure that communities are able to keep families and Americans safe. They didn't vote for that.
Just get the crime bill done. Start arresting people, showing if they see they're going to get arrested, and not liberals just saying, oh, well, let's get some programs going so we can help you and maybe you'll visit us and we're going to, the important people are going to spend time with you and mentor you. Yeah, they're going to make a lot of time for that. They need stricter crime initiatives. They need to start putting people in jail. It's the only thing they're going to understand, these criminals in D.C. Otherwise, crime's going to continue. People that are going to be reporting are in danger. People that are walking around the street are in danger. People are not safe. I know of a person that took a rock, hit the father in the head, and then threw the rock in the crib that he was pushing and injured the baby also. This is in the streets of Washington, D.C. Of course, it got very little coverage. It was local coverage. Nobody, nationally covered it. Local coverage barely covered it because they don't want to play up the crime. They want to play it down because they're a liberal city and they don't want to look bad. So they just keep allowing this stuff to happen. And the corruption is just disgusting in D.C. It's about protecting the people. It's not about getting the Democrats out. It's about the policies. Unfortunately, the policies are Democratic ruled and this district has been going to hell in a handbasket on it. What do you think? What do you think about the crime in D.C.? How could they handle it? My point of view is they need just to start putting people away. I'm not saying to do something like Joe Biden with the 3 strikes and life in prison. That was mostly targeted to black people by Joe Biden. What I'm saying is that if a kid carjacks a car, which is rampant right now in D.C., he's got to do some time. And you can work on him there when he's been arrested and incarcerated. Then you can work on him. But trying to go kumbaya, let's talk, and here's a mentor and everything, it's not going to change it. The lifestyle's already there. It's already embedded. They need to know they're going to go to jail and they're going to stay there. Actually, jail is temporary. Prison is a long time. This is William Wieting reporting from MustangMedic. Crime's got to stop everywhere, and D.C. is rampant and not a safe place right now for anyone. Whether you're homeless or you're a senator, and both people are just as important, especially in the eyes of God. Thank you for watching. I appreciate you.